My parents are getting spam schemes, all sorts of people calling us on the phone. And just keep in mind, I'm here, and if get any of these schemes, the schemes are going to get flattened whenever they get to me. And but it's sickening, just how much this crap goes on the phone, and the phone companies could actually eliminate it if they wanted to. The thing is there's no monetary. They have no monetary incentive to do such. Government doesn't have any incentive to do such. Well, there are a whole lot of people that maybe they do have the incentive to do it, but then they wouldn't be able to get their stuff through. The advertisements they pay for to get through to your phone. I'm starting to get the idea that phones are going to be useless in about 10 or 20 years. People are just going to stop using them altogether. And they're going to use email, they're going to use the internet to communicate to each other. And, you would think it'd be facial communication, but as much as people are paranoid of Facebook and Face app and anything that uses the face, they're probably not even going to use facial forms of communication. They're going to use audio. But they're going to freak whenever they find out that you can do the same thing to audio. You can fake audio from one person to another. Then you're going to have to figure out some way of detecting whether or not the audio is authentic and the face is authentic, and and that they're in the right place at the right time. And see, that's the thing about faking is then you have to prove that they were where they were at what time. And so you'd only be able to fake them in a certain location. And you would have to be there to produce that fake. You would have to prove they were there. So they would have to use your phone as a conduit for the fake. And so your phone would have to be communicating with your voice and your persona, but then they would have to prove that it was against your ear, that it was at the right height to be used. So if you had a Bluetooth headset on, that would probably say, yeah, it was at the right height, but the Bluetooth headset would also have to have in it co-location information, figure out how it was with respect to the cell phone. They could come up with some way to counter scheme it, but the thing is that we have built into us empathy, and because we identify with others and we empathize with others, we have a tendency to want other people to have it just as good as we have it, enough that they survive, that they're okay. It's the reason why people test to see if people are okay and are willing to in catastrophes band together and work together. And it's improved more whenever it is when there's people really expressing their love for each other. It's going to make it even better. And so, if people are all in it for themselves, then there's not going to be that level of love, and maybe people will identify with you, maybe they won't. If you see a lot of warring against the races, then that's probably a result of people not trusting each other, and that could be trouble. But the thing is that what out schemes the schemers, part of that is our empathy, our seeing that other people are like us and wanting to do everybody good. And so as a result of wanting to do everybody good, if anybody is coming up with some sort of scheme that's going to ruin everybody, they feel a need to spread that information out. I would question why they're spreading it. Is if they're putting it up on YouTube, if they put it up with advertisements, I would tend to believe it less than if they put it up without advertisements. See, I'm pushing through what my preference is. And so if you empathize with me and you really understand me or you really know me, you would know that I don't like advertisements. And I don't see a need to pay for advertisements. I think Patreon's a good way of avoiding the advertisements, but then again, um, you know, as I said with Patreon is that I don't really need that right now, and I don't want someone to come in and tell me what I can or can't do, which is probably what the effect would be if you were on Patreon. Is that somebody could put certain kinds of they could put string attachments to you to tell you what you could or couldn't do, and if you would break that, if you broke your consistency and you did something outside the lines, then they would cut your funding. It's still not reliable. What it does is it sounds like to me what it would do is it would make everybody into a producer of a certain kind of content, and I don't think that's very useful. I think everybody should produce whatever that is on their mind, just to start talking about it, and other people can connect with it and think about it and go, oh yeah, it could be done this way or that way. Some people will take it. I mean, I'm saying don't take everything I'm saying as 100% research and all that stuff. I'm just saying this is me, and this is me generating ideas. And ideas are not technology, they're not solid until somebody takes the ideas and produces something out of them. Honeybees work with honey, and they collect the honey, they spit it up, they eat it, they probably spit it up even more. All the bees will probably regurgitate it several times before it ever gets to your table. And somebody was pointing out that the honey is got very little fluid in it, and as a result of that, it tends bacteria doesn't tends to not like it, because honey would suck the water out of the bacteria, and so bacteria can't grow on honey. It can't even feed off of honey because it doesn't have enough. It's a material that is devoid of water, and it will suck up the water. It also produces acids that are lower than the pH of the bacteria, lower than the pH that bacteria can live on, which is below 7. I think they said. This was in a video somebody gave. That would be an example of somebody that should have a Patreon, is somebody who goes and does research, can collect research and collect stuff from YouTube from other people and then generate some sort of output. And those are people that probably have done it in real life, and they don't want to work for anybody anymore, and they want to have control over their life, and they want to have the boundaries and the things that an employer wouldn't give them, and do for themselves. And that's fine, if they can keep it coming. And that's like no different than what the entertainment industry does. That's no different than what scientists do. Scientists have to go out and look for funding all the time. It is, I mean, that's what my dad had to do. He would work on a contract, and when that contract was up, he'd have to have something else in line so he'd have to go around and look for funding. The government just didn't give you money to do your research. They gave the money to the military people, and the military people will bestow a contract on a set of scientists who would do the research on something so that they could develop whatever it is they needed to develop. That's how it works in in the laboratory. So it's almost no different than the way it works anywhere else, I'm just different in that I'm somebody that collected a lot of information together, and I know a lot of stuff, and some stuff I don't really know, and some stuff I glean, some stuff I just generate, and so, and just, I don't know. I could end up on the street someday, and but I believe that I'll probably be okay in any case, because I've got friends and I've got family, and I'm not somebody who goes around begging for stuff from people, and and I don't need a whole lot in order to be happy. I mean, I have quite a bit, but I don't go out and buy lots of stuff to be happy. I don't need a big home to be happy. I've got a big home. It's my parents. I might live in an apartment, but I got VR, and I mean, you could really cut me back pretty well, and I'd probably still find something to live for. There was this. I was watching this video from um, Invisible People from Mark Horvath's um, stream, and there was this lady that was living out under a bridge in Seattle, and she's like the most positive person you've ever seen. And even in the worst of times, when she's battling a problem, she's got real problems, but not problems that she caused. It was physical um, illnesses of hers. And she was living under a bridge, and she said what would get her from day to day is that she would go out and she would look for something in the world above, around nature. She'd find the perfect flower, and once she found the perfect flower, I guess she'd take a picture of it on her cell phone, but that would make her believe that there was something to live for, and that was to see beauty in the world. And that got her from day to day. That kept her, and so I think I'd probably do the same. And when I was in my 30s, I spent most of my 30s, because I was living with my father and I was kind of bored. I got myself some digital cameras, and I went out and took lots and lots and lots of photos of everything. And then I learned how to make stereo photos, so I made stereo photos of everything. And now we have this VR technology. I go out and take stereo video, VR 180 videos of lots of stuff. But I wish I had my VR 180 video camera back when I lived in Los Alamos, where there was a lot of stuff to videotape. Now there's like almost nothing to videotape, because Texas is flat and it doesn't have very many features. The only feature that would probably be out there is probably going to animal clinics or animal shelters and taking videos of animals, and I'm thinking about it. I'm not really certain I want to do that, because anywhere there's any kind of medical stuff being done, there probably is COVID, and I don't want to risk it. It's probably the case that I probably will get COVID, but I've been vaccinated, so maybe not. But it's funny how my eyes just kind of peek out the top as I'm leaning back here. So I'm still kind of on the camera, but not really. Maybe that's the way I do my future videos, is that I'm just kind of off the edge. That would be the way of avoiding people taking your face, is if they didn't see it, that much of your face in your videos, or that you appeared on camera like this. Maybe this will be a thing that I do, is I just I take my videos kind of like off. The only problem with this is that they'd be able to mix in different audio and use your facial information, and it would make it so much easier for people to fake you. But then it would become a kind of an internet meme, where people were constantly taking videos where only their eyes could be seen, and then other people who could take the video and put audio to it, and so people could like, it would become a complete meme. I think I'll do it. So I'll just talk a little bit off the. I could also sing this way, you know, sing a little bit off the edge. So maybe my commentary and my ideas and things, because then this way I could prove I didn't say it, because I couldn't prove that I didn't say it, or you know, or something like that. And so then it would leave less. It would be harder to prove or disprove that I said it at all, because you didn't see my mouth moving. All you saw was my head peeping out over the edge of the video frame. So I'm kind of here, but not really here. My eyes are here. My eyes are in the video. My audio is coming from a part that is not visible. So in a sense, I didn't actually say this stuff. Even though I did say it, I didn't really. It couldn't be proven to be saying this stuff right now. I'm talking off. I'm on the edge of YouTube here, of making a YouTube video of me saying things that are authentic. I'm off the edge of the YouTube. The other thing is that if I wanted to use a face, and that's the thing, is if you want to guarantee to people that you're authentic, you're going to have to be practically topless while you're. So all the women are going to have to be topless. It's not going to affect the men so much because they're not going to have to be topless. So there are going to be less women doing. So the men, that's how we won the battle of the sexes, is facial authentication. Is that the blood fluctuation, the fluctuations in our body are going to determine whether the face and the body are one in the same, because you're going to be able to trace how the blood fluctuates through the body through small infinitesimal changes in color of the face. This information hopefully would be represented in the video. Maybe YouTube would fake it in such a way that this information would get lost, but then now would people be able to verify the authenticity of the facial information to the body, which would be a good way of detecting whether or not the facial information had been. But I mean, people could fake that, but I'm not really sure. But what would have to happen is that women wearing T-shirts couldn't be trusted. But the women who were completely topless, maybe they had bras on. Bras would be probably okay, because all you need is you just need to see the skin around the shoulders and the neck. So they're going to have a low-cut shirt that they won't have to expose anything, just their shoulders, to verify whether or not it was their face. Also, there's ways that you could measure whether it was their face by looking at the shoulders, because the shoulders are going to have a certain width, and there's going to be a certain width to the neck, and when they turn their head, there's going to be a certain distance between the back of the head and the front of the face, and those could all, rather than detecting, you wouldn't detect in, but only in proportion. And from the proportions, you could determine if it was the real person. That would limit the number of actors they could use to simulate you, but they could also fake your shoulder and neck and things like that. So maybe in the future, people just make YouTube videos like this where you're drinking And when you drink your drink and show your mouth that there's something there, nothing else could be said in that moment. And you suck snot and process it, and you swallow it down, which is what I just did. Why would anybody want to be disgusting old me? I don't know.